game A Few Good Modern Men and the Tastebuds App today on It's Complicated.
You're listening to It's Complicated with your hosts Jennifer Golden and Lauren Leonelli, coming to you live from the AfterBuzz TV studios in Los Angeles, California.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of It's Complicated.
The struggle is real when you're dating in the city.
I'm Lauren.
And I'm James.
Oh, welcome back, James.
I'm so happy to be back.
We are so happy to have you back. Thank you so much for co-hosting today. Jen will be back soon. Don't fret, everybody, but listen. This is like the perfect day for you to be here. It could not have happened more perfectly because, first of all, our drink of the day is Budweiser. You and I are not beer drinkers.
We're not really, but we never say no to anything.
But we're not. But you know what I'm going to do?
What are you gonna do?
I'm going to drink, kind of try and chug this. And if you're watching, you can laugh at me. Cheers. Welcome back. Here we go.
Thank you. I don't know if I'm going to join you, but all right, fine.
Oh, my God. That was hard. And I really don't think I did a good job. Oh, man. How do people do that?
I don't know. And shotgunning beers and everything, too.
Oh, shotgunning beers? Dangerous. Cut my lip open one time. It was real bad.
I mean, give me all, like, the vodka and tequila and whiskey in the world. But...
That's fine. But, okay, so anyway, the reason why our drink of the day is Budweiser today, it is the king of beers, guys, because, you know, we never say no to anything amazing and royal, like the king of beers here. Plus, our guest that we're getting in here likes Bud Light, but we went with Budweiser because I feel like Bud Light, are there chemicals in that? Is that why it's light?
Probably.
So, yeah, so let's
it's a little watered down, you know? It's like this is more...
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's more
robust.
calories, but come on, YOLO, everyone.
A few calories more, yeah.
A few calories more, it's worth it. So today, again, thank you for coming in, James.
Totally.
We are both excited to have Dr. Larry Burchett in the studio. So Larry Burchett is an ER doctor. He's a board-certified family physician, and he's a national media personality, also an author, as James here, which we will get to. And he has a very unique perspective on like a broader conversation of what it means to be a modern man, which again, we need to tie this into you. So we'll get to that in a second. So Dr. Larry is the author of a book called The Gentleman's Diet. And he's also, you may have seen him as a men's lifestyle contributor on NBC's Today, as a part of the Men Tell All panel. He appeared on ABC's The Bachelor. He serves as Fox San Francisco medical expert. So you can find him talking about like medical things as well as sort of his coaching, lifestyle coaching that has to do with men. And of course that trickles into relationships as well.
Yeah, and he combines his understanding of family medicine and his knowledge of I always get that wrong. That's why they call it NLP.
Yeah.
Neuro-linguistic programming.
Hey, there's acronyms for a reason, people.
Totally.
Drink to that.
Yeah. Make sure you finish that. We'll have extra ones too.
I'm going to.
So he combines his knowledge of NLP with his own transformative experiences, including practicing medicine in rural Africa, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Real underachiever coming into the studio.
Yeah, no kidding.
And learning how to walk again after a near-death car accident.
I'm like, my legs are sore from the workout I did.
Yeah, he's like, tell me more about that, Lauren.
I'm like, fuck, I feel like already inadequate. But anyway.
Yes. But because of this, he works to try and help other men reach an invaluable understanding of real purpose and deeper appreciation rather than just instant gratification based on, fleeting societal projections of this idealized physical image and conspicuous consumption. And Dr. Larry refuses to stop at six-pack abs, which I mean, not a bad place to even get to in the first place, but why stop when you get there, right? When really what most men need in their lives is the muscle of mission and the strength of conviction.
Yeah, so he takes it to another level, which clearly he lives his life on another level. A thoroughly modern mentor and motivator, Dr. Larry gives voice to the issues men face, mostly giving men the trusted voice they need to become the best versions of themselves. Again, it's like what you do too.
It's the same thing.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like you guys are going to be best friends.
Yeah, I think that's probably we're gonna be doing our own thing afterwards.
I think I'm just gonna sit here and let it all happen.
Share a couple Budweisers after. Yeah. I mean, his accessibility has given many men permission to really come forward and share their personal struggles, which I think is such an important thing because a lot of guys are kind of still holding back on that.
Totally.
But people like Dr. Larry and others are really helping everybody open up.
Yeah.
To share their struggles and their questions and their doubts. And this really kind of allows Dr. Larry to become like the cool older brother that they never had, you
Yeah.
know? I mean, he exudes a special sense of camaraderie in his own humorous and relatable style, expressing kind of a healthy distaste for this like fancy medical jargon.
Yeah.
And, you know, all the false fitness promises and fad diets. And you know, we're inundated with this on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Like, get 6-pack abs in 30 seconds a day, you know?
And then he's a doctor, so he could get super medical about it, but that's not relatable.
Right.
So
Totally.
yeah, he is approaching this in all the right way, and there's a lot of that goes on in his book, and he talks about a lot of that. And instead, he separates also fact from fiction. He prefers to teach and use like historical models of what works while providing men with like a practical insider's way to like get fit and to find lasting happiness and to realize your fullest potential while you get to, live longer and healthier. Those are the byproducts and a more passionate and more productive life. So we're going to get Dr. Larry in here, and we're going to ask him how he turned his tragedy into triumph, what he thinks about today's modern male, and that is also a very topical thing for you as well,
Can't wait
and
to talk
how
about
he
that.
feels his advice can bring men the money, the relationship, and the wild ride they are looking for.
This is gonna be
I
awesome.
mean,
This
also,
is gonna be a lot of fun.
also he's pretty good looking too.
Well,
I mean,
you and Jen can.
he
focus on
has it
that.
all,
Yeah,
really.
it's a total package. I mean, that's the and when it comes to, and this isn't even on here, but this when it comes down to like, it's almost like if you're gonna have a financial advisor, you want them to be successful. If you're gonna have a personal trainer, you want them to be in shape. Like somebody like Larry, Dr. Larry, who is kind of a well-rounded package of a
Yeah.
guy,
Yeah.
right? As a man, you want to be able to emulate that. You want to be able to get advice from somebody who is who you want to be.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah. No, he's the perfect role model, I think, for this. And so
Yep.
we're going to get him in or talk to him about all that. But first,
Totally.
we are going to fill you in on what we've been up to over the last week.
Yes.
So let's air our dirty laundry.
do it.
Moms are in town. My boyfriend's mom's in town. My mom's in town because it's like birthday extravaganza. It's
Yours-
my birthday tomorrow. It's my boyfriend's daughter's birthday today.
Crazy.
Listen, my birthday, I'm like 30.
Something. In your 30s. In your 30s. You're young.
And
Oh, God,
I'm
you're a baby. Jesus.
such a baby.
You are.
And so I don't care. It's like whatever. And I'm just like, let's all have drinks at a fun bar. You will
good.
be there. And but all the things that come into preparation for it, like for my boyfriend's daughter's birthday, it's like, we made cookies for her class today, and like the big karaoke party is happening on
Right, yeah,
Saturday,
yeah.
and like what's she gonna wear, and what decorations do we need, and what are we making, and anyway, it's fun. I'm just saying, like, it takes time.
Yep.
So that's all happening, and I really like that our birthdays are so close, her and I, because it's all really about her right now. Although she's not that little girl, she's like, let's do birthday celebrations together.
That's
but
nice,
like
yeah.
right now, it's come on, she's turning 8, and it's like about her. But
Totally,
I'm
yeah.
thinking into the future. I'm like, isn't it going to be really fun when she's like 25 and I'm 40?
Yeah, you can still hang
Or
out together.
whatever, but you know what I mean. When she's of age and like,
Right, yeah.
and then we can like kind of like party together.
Totally,
Like,
yeah.
how fun is that gonna be?
Her 21st birthday is going to
Oh my God, it's gonna be like off the hook.
You're gonna be
Okay,
like, let
yeah.
me plan this for you.
Yeah.
Let me do this.
I'm
right.
like,
Yeah.
just trust me. I've been there. Let me take care of it. So I mean, maybe it doesn't sound appropriate right now, but at the time it will be, and it's going to
Totally.
be very fun.
Absolutely.
And so, I'm having fun. Having everyone in town for that, and it's fun because my boyfriend's mom comes every year for his daughter's birthday.
Right,
So
yeah.
then it happens to be, and my mom and my boyfriend's mom like love each other, and they're also like the same person.
I love your mom.
Yeah, my mom's great,
She
and
is.
my boyfriend's mom is great. They're very similar, and so they love each other. So it's fun for them too.
Yeah.
They're gonna be out for my birthday as well.
jeez.
So yeah, and it's like, but see, that's what I'm talking about. Like then you get to a point where your mom then comes with
Right.
you. I'm not like I'm
Yeah,
her mom,
which
but
is what's great about
you
it.
know what
It's
I
like,
mean?
yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
fun to. So anyway, that's what's going on around my
Yeah, your
country
life is
over
very,
here.
very slow and boring these days.
Well, it's been a little hectic, but it's fine. Okay, so what? So you have a like kind of a big fucking deal happening right now.
It's finally, I can finally actually say that I have a book out.
I mean, what
Yeah,
is
I mean,
that?
thank you.
Yes.
I wish I had a copy. I should have the first like batch coming in tomorrow. Hopefully, it's gonna arrive tomorrow, and hopefully they're all gonna look good. I should have ordered one.
Well,
to get like to make sure the printing was all great. But I'm like,
Oh.
I'll order 20 of them.
oh well.
So
Yeah. I
so
mean,
hopefully, but yeah, it's,
lesson learned for your second best-selling book.
hopefully, fingers are crossed.
There you
Fingers are
go.
crossed. So I mean, it's so far. I mean, great. Like a lot of people have pre-ordered. It's live on Amazon. I've got the link everywhere. I'm posting up a video later today to just have
So,
it like everywhere.
What is the
Yeah,
book?
it's called Unlocking Love.
I'm already into it.
Yeah, it's like the the key with the heart and everything.
Love it.
10 keys to finding the love of your life, even if it's you.
Oh.
Because I want it's about like
It's
self-fulfillment
also
and happiness.
yeah, and it's also I mean it is part of that is going to be you, but I like that you say
Totally.
even if because it's just part of the equation.
Well, that's the thing, and it's like I don't. It's not. I'm not one of those dating people. I'm not one of those guys. It's like guaranteeing. I'm not like, oh yeah, you find love in 10 days with this book. You know what I mean? It's
Like the
all that
fads that we're
bullshit.
talking about here, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
It's more of like a well-rounded approach of like this is how to be happy in your own life without like regardless of your relationship status.
Which is exactly what you need. Do you subscribe to the belief, like, there's that cliched saying, like you complete me or you make me whole.
No.
So that's exactly, because I don't either. Like, I feel like that you're then looking for someone to fill a void that they're never
Right.
actually going to be able to fulfill totally. Maybe on the surface at first, but
Totally.
underneath it all, eventually it's going to feel empty because it only can come from you. And then you're going to be disappointed and resentful and it's going to be a bad thing and codependent and all that bullshit.
Right.
So
Right.
I think you have to be what this book is saying.
That's exactly why I wrote it. And I think I might make a reference to that.
Okay.
And I do try to avoid the whole Jerry Maguire copyright thing. So I may not have used the exact
God,
terms.
did they
but like,
copyright that
they
shit?
probably didn't, but I wanted
But
to make
who
sure.
knows?
Yeah, just in case. I wanted to play it safe.
Mm-hmm.
But like it's not about that. It's about like, and I talk about like puzzle pieces, like fitting
Right.
together. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like if you have a piece missing off a puzzle piece, or whatever, like they don't interlock properly. Right?
Okay.
Like it
Right.
would be like a hole, there'd be a gap there.
Sure.
So you need to be complete
Sure.
yourself before
connect.
you interact with somebody else.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like that, you complete me, it's romantic and it's cute or whatever, but it's not realistic. Because like for exactly the reason you said.
I mean, I get the idea behind it. Like, you making someone feel fulfilled or making someone feel whole in a not in an incomplete way, but helping complete some things are okay, I think.
Totally,
like
yeah.
looking for a partnership and I mean, otherwise you wouldn't need anybody. You could just live by yourself in a bubble.
Well, I think there's a big difference between like adding value to
Sure.
somebody's life and
There you
feeling
go.
like, oh, like I've got this, I've got that, I've got that. I'd like a partner to share my life with.
Sure.
That can be like a completion aspect of it.
Adding value.
Adding
And
value.
yeah.
But like in your own personal like self-fulfillment or happiness,
Yeah.
like if that is completely reliant on whether or not you're with
Totally.
somebody, that's a whole different story.
I agree.
You know what I mean? You can be like happy and fulfilled and single,
Sure.
and then you're like, oh, it'd be nice to have somebody to share it with. And
Yeah.
that's like a a kind of like a well-rounded life that you
Yeah.
then enter into. But
For me, that's how it happened. And maybe this is a coincidence or maybe it isn't, but I was single for a really, really long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember telling my mom, actually, who is
speak of the devil.
coming in the studio currently. Hello, Mother. You can pull that chair up and
Mother.
sit
Hi,
wherever
Mom.
you want. I said my mom was in town, but I did tell my mom, she probably remembers, it was like 2 Mother's Days ago. She was in town and I was like, I'm having like a lot of fun. I want a boyfriend, like or a partner or whatever. Like ultimately that's what I want. But like, I'm having a lot of fun being single. And I was.
It's great. Yeah.
And I wasn't even doing anything crazy or weird. I just was like kind of enjoying being single and like my independence and all of that. And then it's not the guy that I'm with now, but right, like within weeks, I like reconnected with someone that I grew up with and we dated for like the summer. He ended up being a very interesting person.
Interesting.
But it taught me that I was happy where I was.
Yep.
Complete or whatever, if you will, and that I was ready. I guess it taught me that I was ready to welcome that in, because sometimes you say you want something, then you're not ready.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I guess it proved to me that I was.
Yeah.
And then it just wasn't the right fit. And then I met my boyfriend now, like right after that.
Well, I don't think it's not necessarily a coincidence because you're putting out that energy. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
that's true.
You're
Yeah.
living your life in a way that reflects that kind of realization about where you're at, and I
Yeah.
think that attracts different types of people that are on the
That's
same
true.
wavelength,
That's true.
I mean, in theory, I can't back that
In
up with
theory.
any evidence, but, you know.
And also, we are going to jump into our We Need to Talk area because we need to talk. Our listeners asked, and we're going to tell them what they think. Sasha from Chicago has a question, and this
boy.
is fucking hilarious to
Sashas
me.
are always dangerous. I dated a Sasha.
I mean,
she was
she's
great.
she's
but-
probably Russian, and she's
Yes.
probably like gonna whip you in the bedroom. Maybe. I mean, you don't have to answer that question. I
no
just
comment.
feel like
she was from Moscow, but no comment.
Okay. So Sasha from Chicago, no idea where you're actually really, like, if you're Russian or not, but we'll just speculate.
Mm-hmm.
She says, do blowjobs count as sex? No. No, they do not. You're looking at me like I'm wrong.
No,
Please
I'm not.
tell
I
me
mean,
you don't.
Well, they're defined as oral sex.
I know, but like,
but it's not
okay, so
intercourse.
it's not. If you go out on if I go out on a date with a guy and we make out and I give him a blowjob, I'm
Right.
just being candid here.
Right.
I'm not like, I had sex
Right,
with a guy
correct,
last night.
you're right,
What
you're
the
right,
fuck?
right,
What?
right.
No. And then if my friends were like, oh, you did? How? What? Well, I just did this. They'd be like, that's not.
Right,
What are
exactly,
you
yeah.
talking about?
Yeah, you're right. I agree.
I mean, I think because the sex is in the title of it, it's like confuses people.
It's a type of sex. Oral sex. It's a type of sex. It's
Yeah.
not sex itself. You know what I mean? It's like a subset.
Yes, it's a
It's a
okay.
subsex.
Do you think that oral sex is more intimate than actual sex? I don't.
No.
I know everyone
No.
says that. I don't.
No, I don't think so. It's not.
I don't think it is either. I
It's
just
not
don't.
because there's it's not as much of a. I'm so glad I have the spirit. Right now. No,
Listen,
it's not. It's no, because you have this
You're
like
not as
different
connected,
energy. No,
yeah.
you're not as connected. You're right. That's exactly what.
That's what it
exactly
is. It's like,
Yeah.
well, how much more connected could you be than
Right.
actual? I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not saying it's not intimate to have oral sex. It's not like, you're like filing your nails and like
Right, yeah.
having a conversation. Obviously, it's all of it's very intimate. Kissing, everything is, even holding hands. Sometimes you can feel like an energy when
Yeah.
you touch somebody. But like,
And kissing is definitely more. Even that's more intimate.
I
You know what I
kind
mean?
of
It's not more
agree.
sexual,
yeah.
but it's more intimate. It's got that different. Type
I
of
agree.
energy.
So, Sasha, I'm going to say no, it's not. But I understand why people ask that question. It's confusing because it's like oral sex and whatever, but no.
Oh, and she mentions virginity in there too, right?
Well, I said something about like, well, if you lose your virginity, you don't lose your virginity
Right.
when you give someone a blowjob.
Right, exactly.
You're not
yeah.
like, and now I'm not a virgin.
Yeah, it's like, no, sorry.
Not the same thing.
Doesn't work that way.
Does not work that way. So all those women out there that are feeling like maybe your number is a little higher because you've had oral sex with someone, you're safe.
No, yeah.
Knock that 20 guys off your list.
And it's-
you're back down to
You're back down to
reasonable-
45. Yeah. Congratulations.
Oh my God. You're not a slut after all. No sex was had. Doesn't count.
It's only a number.
Oh my God. Do you think just, so we're going there. Do you think just the tip counts as sex? I do not think it counts. I'm sorry. I have to jump
don't think
in.
so?
No. It's just like,
I guess probably not. I mean, no, I get. Well,
it's not.
that might be an off-air conversation. I don't know.
It's not. Okay.
No, I guess it's
mean,
not. I mean, but where do you then? Oh, God,
Where
I
do
can't
you
believe we're talking about this.
where do you then decide
Is there
that
like
a point on
Right.
the penis of
is there
that
like a,
sex?
it's like a thermometer? You're like almost there, and then all of a sudden you cross that line. Like, where's
Well,
that
it's
line?
sex now.
We should ask Dr. Larry.
Well, let's ask Dr. Lair. Okay,
Like,
maybe
where is that
he might
line,
have
you know
like
what I
a
mean?
medical well, technically it's
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
it's like at 2 inches, no, at like 2.25. Yeah,
then
now
yes,
you're
now
having
we're
sex.
in. Now
Yeah.
we're in.
No
That's
turning
it.
back.
No turning back. Your
Yeah,
number,
no.
just notch on your belt, just went up.
Yeah, at that point it's like a checkpoint.
It is.
reached.
It's a checkpoint. All right, guys, we're really quickly going to, check our emotional baggage and meet our celebrities and baggage claim. But first, we want to say, we talk about celebrity news and gossip on the show, and we're not trying to like be a downer, but there's a lot of shit happening in the world right now, and we want to send our thoughts and prayers to all of those people who are affected by what happened last weekend in Las Vegas and the horrible tragedies. And we just want to say, everyone, just stop and love each other. And I'm subscribed to Jimmy Kimmel's theory of it's not enough to just say like we send our thoughts and
Oh,
prayers.
doesn't do anything.
We need to do I think the way that we can really help is to think about what you can do to actually make a change instead of just saying and posting on Instagram like my heart goes out to Vegas. That's great. That all is valid, but like think about what you can do to make something different, whether
Right.
it's contacting a congressperson and making some sort of policy change. This kind of shit should not be allowed. It's just shouldn't be allowed. And when things happen in the world and mistakes happen and people die, people make changes, and nobody is making a change right now. So figure out what to do to make this not a possibility anymore. You can't never say never, things are going to happen, but it could be more difficult for someone to buy fucking 40 firearms and bring them into a hotel and shoot people.
I read this morning that he like 33 of them over the past 11 months. He gotten.
I'm sorry,
I mean,
a red
like,
flag, you can't even Google like certain words without people on you, and you're allowed to buy 33 firearms?
Well, there's something
for what?
Yeah, I read something the other day too. It's something called like a super owner, and there's like 7.7 million super owners for guns in America, and it's something along the line. I forget the numbers, so don't quote me on it, but it's something like between like 8 and like 140 guns or something. Like classifies you as a super owner. Like this is a real thing, and there's millions and millions and millions of them in the country. So it's like. I mean, there'd be red flags going up all over the place if that was the criteria. So it's like...
I think it's about some sort of policy change starting from there. And I don't have the answer, but I think that's what we all should really be thinking about.
And I agree. And I also think like the way we live our day-to-day lives and how we interact with other people is so important, because you could have 500... Look at, I mean, Dan Bilzerian, right? Guy's kind of an asshole. Say what you want to say about Dan Bilzerian, but he's got an arsenal that would like rival a small country, right? He's not going around killing people. He goes into the deserts and he shoots stuff. Like say what you want about him as a person, but he doesn't kill people. So it's like regardless of whatever the inanimate object is doing, like I mean, it's the person that's controlling it. So it's like if we live our life in a way that cares about other people and that opens up and listens to other people and interacts and engages. If we love everybody more, not to sound cheesy.
No, but you're right.
But it's like
pay attention to it.
Yeah, and that it feels loved and valued and connected to the world. What person that feels that way is going to go kill 50,
I was just going to
people?
say, because that's what's wrong with this person, that is something that, you know, again, there's no way to really stop it completely, but there are things I think we can think about. So we are going to, you know, touch on a couple little celebrity things. I mean, also kind of sad, but, you know, Hugh Hefner, he passed away.
He did.
And his wife is finally talking, Crystal.
Yes.
Good old Crystal. I mean, you know, Hugh Hefner, he was 91.
He was 91.
How old the hell was she? Like 30 or something?
Yeah, I think she and you know, it's so funny when people say, "Oh, he's in, you know, you're in a better place," like better than the Playboy Mansion.
I know. I saw that. Like, yeah, now he's in a better place. I'm pretty sure he might. Well, who knows who's up there with? But.
Yeah, who knows? And Crystal did say, she said, you know, I haven't been able to bring myself to write most people back to thank them for their condolences. She told E! News in a statement.
Yeah.
You know, she said, I am heartbroken. I am still in disbelief. Which, of course, you know, regardless of age, we all, you know, even 91, it's like it's still a. But she did continue on and say he was an American hero, a pioneer, a kind and humble soul who opened up his life and home to the world. Literally.
Yeah.
He opened up a lot more than that to the world. You know, she said, I felt how much he loved me. I loved him so much. I'm so grateful. He gave me life. He gave me direction, taught me kindness. A lot of people really, you know.
A lot of people say that about him. He did that. And that's, you know, that's nice. So we celebrate Hugh. Also, quickly, Macaulay Culkin and Brenda Song are dating, maybe. I don't know. They posted something. She posted something on social media with Seth Green. And they've also been seen holding hands. I just think, you know, hey, listen, go for it. A little bit of an odd couple. Macaulay Culkin's coming back strong. Maybe he's, you know, subscribing to your blog, or he's reading The Gentleman's Diet or something, and he's becoming a whole person that is like Prince Charming, and Brenda Song's like going for it. She's like Disney princess, and now she's dating, you know, the Home Alone kid, and maybe we'll check back in with them and see where that goes. And we are quickly going to jump to, we talk about dating apps every single week on the show, and there's one called Tastebuds. Now, when I first read it, and we talked about this last week, I was a little misled. I thought it had to do with food. Yeah. Because it's a music app thing.
Well, and it kind of like. It kind of toes the line between a dating app and a social experience. Yeah. You know, and if you're, like you said, in music too, it's definitely something to check out if you're really into music, because Tastebuds it pulls your music preferences from Facebook while also kind of giving you the chance to search and add music manually to your profile as well, kind of like MySpace did. Yeah. MySpace of yesteryear.
Like that. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. You used to play a song or something.
Oh my God, my page was so obnoxious.
Oh my God, what song did you have?
I had a million different, like at the time I was really going out to clubs and everything, so everything was very like high energy, flashing lights. It would have frozen your computer a million times.
Oh my God,
comment.
Stop it. Yeah, we'll leave that. Let's move on from
but
that.
You can't. Yeah, now it would be much different, and you can't have, you know, a song on your profile, probably like an Ed Sheeran song or something.
Oh yeah. Oh, that'd be cute.
No, yeah, it doesn't have the largest audience, by the way.
It's fine. Yeah.
But you know, you'll have a much better experience with it in larger cities because, you know, more higher volume of people, of course. Yeah. But the concept alone is really cool.
Yeah, and music connects people, and so then it makes sense.
Totally, absolutely.
Okay, we are very excited. We have Dr. Larry Burchett in the studio. Hi.
Hey.
Thank you so
Welcome
much
to the
for
party.
coming. Okay, so if you can see yourself in that camera, that's
Oh, there
right
we
where
go.
you need to be. Okay, I think we're good.
Are you happy with me?
I mean, we are. Okay, so I know you requested Bud Light, but is that
This
a
is
calorie thing for
incredible.
you?
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of calories. This is a Budweiser.
Are you seriously not going to drink that?
Are you peer pressuring me?
Yeah.
At 10 in the morning? Okay, well, let me see if I can get.
Wait, but seriously, is that why you like Bud Light?
Because of the
there it
calories.
is.
Did they hear that?
I think they did. Wait, but tell me the truth.
Yeah,
but is that aren't there?
Bud Light only has a few carbs. If you're
But-
going to drink something, it's not so bad.
Okay.
There's a lot of calories in that.
But I chugged it, by the way.
Did you really?
I also ran 3 miles this morning.
Should have said don't worry
Without
about
me?
calories.
I did.
You chugged it without me.
I did. I'm
We're
sorry.
going to need to get you a second one in here.
Oh my God.
Actually, make it a third because your mom's here and I don't
Yes.
want to leave her out.
My mom is here, and also we have your
is Steven,
Steven,
my
and
publicist.
yes, and so it's like a party in here, everyone.
great.
Shit,
I
we
love
should have
it.
had like a keg.
It
Damn it.
really,
feels.
see that?
It seems so much bigger when I was watching it just outside,
Wow.
and there's a lot to talk about apparently
there-
already.
What else
There
is new?
is a
What
lot
else
to
is
talk
new?
about. We're going to jump right into it because we were just sort of talking about, I mean, obviously we don't want to like be a Debbie Downer over here, but like our show is usually pretty fun and candid and uplifting and all that, but there's shit happening and we don't want to ignore that. And it happens to affect you in a different way, in a greater way. You're a doctor and you help people and in traumatic moments and even after the fact. So with all of the things, the tragic events in Vegas and even the hurricanes, we can't forget about like
Right,
all
yeah.
of that that's happening as well. I mean, people are dying, and how has that like affected your practice as a whole as a doctor?
What do you mean? These
Like
specific things?
These specific things, like have you felt like you were affected like personally with like a lot of patients? Have you gone somewhere and been involved in it? Are you feeling like you're dealing with aftermath or seeing people being like really traumatized, or what do you think?
I mean, I've done so many different international medicine things. I mean, I went to Haiti after the earthquake, and I've done some disaster relief stuff. I was in Tanzania. I've traveled all over. Since being, I've been an ER doctor maybe 8 or 9 years, and we'll see people come into the ER like after Ebola.
Ugh.
Maybe people will come in when they just got a fever. Do I have Ebola? Everybody freaks out.
Right.
So there is a real kind of
Panic.
palpable fear, and people think, even though there was never a case in California, and it's really not logical to, you get a fever and you're kind of in the middle of nowhere. You haven't been in one of the areas, but people have this irrational fear that come from these events. So yeah, part of our job always is, I mean, most of what I do in the ER is telling people that they're fine.
Really?
Checking them out, doing the appropriate tests, and saying your chest pain is not a heart attack. I'm glad you came in. I'm glad we figured that out. Now you can be relieved and get out of here.
I think that fear, I mean, and obviously you're a doctor, but you're also just a human as well. Like you think, and you have, well, maybe you're not
I know
totally.
you're not sure yet,
I
but
feel,
Depends on the
I
day.
feel
Yeah.
like
Depends on
you
the
might
day.
be part unicorn, part human, but there's part of you that's also human. And I think that you want to say to yourself, like, am I being preventative? Like, I'm feeling this thing. If I brush it off, am I going to be that person that's like, oh, I just thought it was indigestion and then I had a heart attack or whatever? Like, I think sometimes people worry about that kind of shit. And when there's things happening around you that are really scary, like now you're worried about going to a concert,
Right,
or
yeah.
now you're worried about like an earthquake happening or a natural disaster, or you hear of a friend that had like a brain aneurysm and then 2 days later you get a headache and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, right? And so I think what's happening around you, whether it's a personal friend or around you in the world, do you feel like you see more people like, well, I guess with Ebola and stuff like that, you felt like it was like,
Not yet. I mean, this week I worked in the hospital in Compton, so I was a
Okay.
hospital doctor. So I haven't really seen people kind
Okay.
of coming in with stuff related
Okay.
to, this thing happens in Vegas and
Right.
people are presenting with anxiety or depression or
Okay.
these kind of things yet. No.
and you as an ER doctor, you treat like it's everything. It's not like,
It's really everything.
so like how.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's because you think about like, okay, I'm a doctor. I'm going to med school. I'm going to be an eye doctor. I'm going to be a plastic surgeon. Like
Yeah.
you're just like, I'm an everything doctor. All of the things.
Yeah, primary care. So there's kind of two different types of people. Some like to know everything about one subject. So something comes in and they just dominate it. But then there's other of us who like, variety. ER, there's always
Yeah.
different things coming in. Pneumonia in you is going to look different than pneumonia in your mother. So it keeps it interesting. I like that
Really?
about it.
It's amazing.
He likes pneumonia.
Was
I'm kidding.
I would like to stand
If Jennifer
against
was here.
pneumonia.
Oh my God. Okay, so we talk about dating and relationships on the show, and so we're talking about trauma and being affected by things going around you in the world. And you just took a sip of your Budweiser. I'm really happy that you just did that.
I feel like I'm a dog.
I know
tethered
people
to
say
the-
that.
what
Pull
is
it, just
this
pull it
thing?
really hard. I know
All right.
it's weird. So how do you think personally things like this, daily trauma, things that are happening in the world affects like relationships? And obviously that comes in many different forms. It can be like a parent, a child, a couple, a married couple, co-workers, whatever. How does things like this, traumatic events in the world, affect personal relationships, do you think?
Well, I mean, I would, for people watching, like observe your partner and your family and your whatever. Some people have a fair amount of anxiety to begin with. And if you're paying attention to this 24-hour news cycle and all of this coverage, what are we doing most? What are we focusing on most? This guy, this shooter.
Yes.
His brother was on TV within an
His
hour after this thing.
girlfriend.
Let's get his girlfriend. Let's talk about all the guns and all that stuff. And I think if people take this moment, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorders, basically where you're in a situation where you feel like you could die. And it traumatizes you, and then it kind of gives this trail afterwards where you have anxiety, have all these symptoms related to it. But it happens with this moment where you feel like you're going to die. If people are watching the news and they're imagining themselves being in that moment, I go to concerts, I could have been there.
Yes.
Then they're going to get affected. It's if you associate into it, if you like are seeing yourself there and you're imagining, God, what would I do in the middle of it as all this stuff is running? It can be potentially very dangerous, and you can kind of have, like the people that were
yeah.
there. What was he was shooting for 10 or 11 minutes,
Something like that.
Can
Yeah.
you imagine like being where you're like, oh my God, am I gonna die for 10 or 11 minutes?
That's a long
all
time.
of them need to talk to a therapist, like all of them about
Okay.
that moment, so they can get some space from it, so they can kind of disconnect from that. And but for those of us watching TV and stuff, we get into that moment that can provoke anxiety and fear and depression, whatever. So in relationships, like, is it affecting? Are they withdrawing a little bit?
Yeah.
Are they seeming depressed? Like, what? Depending on what someone's symptoms of that stuff would be, I would say pay attention to them. I mean, has it affected you guys at all? Do you think?
It's funny. I was actually in an Uber yesterday, and I was talking to the Uber driver, and they were supposed to be going to a concert. He and his wife are going to a concert in a couple of weeks, and his wife is all nervous about the concert now because of what has just happened.
Yeah.
So I'd imagine it even affects relationships in the sense of what one person does or doesn't want to do or is comfortable with, and then now you've got to console your significant other in a way that you wouldn't have had to before, right? Because it's like you're almost easing this comfort or easing this pain into comfort that didn't even exist before. So I imagine that in some random ways it would affect relationships too, just indirectly.
Yeah, I mean, also my boyfriend has a daughter. So I think people say, I don't have kids of my own, but people say when you have children, like things feel differently, I guess, because there's this thing that's you and you feel responsible
an
and more
extension of
worried
yourself.
and all these things. And so I think he, and he actually is, I think he did express to me, like, I go to a lot of these kind of things. Like, I've been to handfuls of these types of concerts, and exactly what you said, what would I have done if I were there? Yeah, and he said he had anxiety about it. He said, I didn't sleep last night. I don't know if that's why. I know I'm thinking about it. I think that might be part of the reason. Who knows what other stress is in your life. But yeah, I mean, he said, it freaked me out a little bit. And also, to go back to what you're saying, it's on the TV. They're showing this guy. It's like, now we all know him. It's like we know him. We know all about his life. We know about his personal shit. And you're watching videos, so it's almost like you're there. Like, I'm seeing videos on Instagram of the bullets hitting the cement. I'm like, I might as well be, and my
So
heart,
easy to
my heart
imagine
is
yourself there.
pounding, and I get anxiety very easily.
Well, and if I could jump in too, because I'd be curious, Doctor, because you've been through quite a few traumatic experiences yourself.
Yes.
Right, so it's like, so I'd like to talk about that and your kind of regeneration of yourself as a person. But it's like, I'm sure you can relate more than most of us can to being able to look at these things on the screen and saying, I would probably react to this way, I would probably react this way, or maybe, but you've been in situations, I'm sure, where you really don't know. It's like having your back up against the wall, right? You never know how you're going to react until you're there.
Yeah.
So do you feel that you can prepare yourself to a certain extent? Do you feel that you kind of, maybe that would ease anxiety for some people to be able to say,
think about what you would do if it had to be more visual in the
or say like, let's not worry too much about it because
Yeah.
I don't know how I'd react unless I was actually in the situation.
Right.
I mean, like, I'm not sure what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I was thinking two different kinds of people in the ER, like ER doctors. Most of us like adrenaline, so we get that surge and we can kind of think more clearly. But some people, it freaks them out and they can't handle it. So in that scenario, what would I do? I don't know. I hope I would, protect myself, run for cover, help who I could in the process. And gosh, if you're close enough, try to take that guy out. But like, I don't
know.
I don't
Yeah.
have SWAT team
Yeah.
training.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
you don't. You have everything else. You don't
I
have
know.
that. Now
God,
you just
you
let
guys
me down.
read like my live bio. I was
Jeez
like, who's
Louise.
that guy?
Yeah,
he
who
sounds
is that
great.
guy's
Is he
awesome.
going to be in on this interview too?
would
can
like to
can I meet him?
him.
Yeah.
Be his friend. It's like, no, it's me. Oh, okay.
You don't know how you're gonna you hear a loud noise and you think to yourself like your instinct is to like freeze and be like, what the fuck is that? You're not like, but then your brain rationalizes. Like, I guarantee you 100% of those people are like, it's fireworks. It's not, nobody
Right,
was
yeah.
like, oh my God, that's gunshots. It's an automatic firearm. Run for cover. Don't be a moving target.
Yeah,
like
denial,
nobody,
I'm sure in the moment I would have been like, no, give me a break. And then like you would see it, you go, holy shit.
It takes
Yeah.
a second.
Yeah.
You don't know how you're going to react once you wrap your brain around it. It's like for you in the ER, when you deal with death and tragedy all the time, and you have to figure out how to cope with that yourself and give people tools to cope with that. So in the moment when you're telling somebody, which I'm sure you've unfortunately had to do, so that person didn't make it, I'm sorry, you're delivering the news, like
Yeah.
that, I guarantee you, I mean, you must say, the people probably like, no, that's probably their first thing. No, they like, that did not happen, right? People go straight to denial.
Sometimes, a lot of times people know. I mean, most of
Oh.
the time when people come in and they're near the end, but
okay.
sometimes there's a sudden, very
Sure.
unexpected death. And yeah, it's hard to believe when somebody the day before was fine, walking, whatever, and then, they're gone. In a second, they're gone.
Yeah.
For sure. Denial is very real.
And that's, I'm sure.
And I think that's what a lot of people get affected, how they get affected with situations like this too, is like you realize, and I mean, any of us could have been at that concert. It's like you realize that it kind of makes you live your life in a different way. You shouldn't have to have those traumatic experiences to be able to say, okay, live in the moment, but that's what it takes for a lot of people, I
Yeah.
think.
I mean, I think that's normal, and I feel that fear too. I want to go to Guns N' Roses in November. Is
I
this going to be
know.
are they going to drop the big bomb? But
Right.
But if you look at the numbers, and I use this with patients a lot, what's the likelihood you're going to get struck by lightning?
Right.
It's like 1 in a million.
Yeah.
Right? Does that really scare you? Are you scared about being struck by lightning? Right.
No.
Right.
What's the chance you're going to be killed by a mass murderer or at a concert or in some kind of act of terrorism like this? It's much more likely that we're going to die texting while we're driving, right? Like,
Absolutely
there's
right.
all these
Let's
other
be
things
realistic,
that are
yeah.
but do those things scare us? No, but oh my God, the mass murderer, because we're seeing it in the media, it's on your brain.
And they
you have
make
this
it so
bias.
traumatic. Yeah, it's like it's kind of like this. It's like a plane crash, right? Like it's scary to fly in a plane because of that thing, because when it happens, it's catastrophic. It's never like, oh, it was just a little minor crash, everyone's fine. Like usually you're not fucking fine. But a car is much more dangerous and people die all the time, every day, all over the world. But you just get in your car and you're like, no big deal. It's like what you're just used to, I
so
guess.
accustomed to it.
So accustomed to it. And we were just talking about traumatic experiences and transforming things, and you had a traumatic experience that you turned into a sort of triumphant experience. Can you
Speaking of
talk
car
about,
accidents.
can you talk about what you went through? And again, it's a unicorn story, everybody.
God, I haven't talked about this in a long time. When I was in high school, I grew up in Kansas City, and we were driving to Denver for spring break, and I was in the back seat, and my friend, I asked him to get me a bag, and he lost control of the car, and the car rolled, and I was probably kind of smashed by the car and then ejected out the back because I didn't have my seatbelt on.
Wow.
So my pelvis was broken in 3 places, and my urethra was trying. I was life flighted to Denver and had emergency surgery.
And you
all
were
this stuff.
a teenager. How old were you?
Yeah, I was like 17.
Okay, wow.
18.
Wow.
St. Patrick's Day, 97. So I had one of these external fixators, with these bars on the outside, and I was in a wheelchair for 6 weeks.
Wow.
And in the ICU, I was in the hospital for 3 weeks, and was I'd lost all of this weight and muscle, and I kind of had to, like retrain again. Like I remember laying in bed, and to lift my leg, like in the beginning, I couldn't even lift my leg off the bed. I could just move it side to side, and it was so hard to like lift it off the bed. And I slowly worked at it, and then like it's like such an accomplishment to do that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was the end. That was my senior year of high school.
And did doctors tell you weren't going to walk? What was the prognosis?
No, I think because of how it all happened and the surgery and everything, I think I had a prognosis that I would fully recover.
But you taught yourself to, like, you literally just put your mind to it in bed and were like, I'm going to move my legs and make this happen.
I don't know, I had to work
Yeah.
and push at it. I remember my dad pushed me a lot, and it was recovery.
How long did it take you to fully recover?
Months, I don't know.
God.
The hardest thing, bones heal.
Yeah.
My urethra was torn, so that's the connection between your bladder. Because of the trauma,
Oh my
it
God.
had kind of sheared off. I had to go to the bathroom. They couldn't get a catheter in. I'm not going to take my pants off and show you this.
Well.
I have a big scar here,
Appreciate
but
it.
they had to put maybe later. They had to put a tube in here, to get to my
Yeah.
bladder. But so I had a catheter in
Yeah.
my penis for 3 months maybe, and
Wow.
I had all these surgeries, and that one they said, well, you may not be able to have kids.
Okay.
I was like, okay. My daughter's 7.5 now, so we've proved that
Wow. Wow.
that one wrong. But that
Yay.
was a bigger worry than, am I going to fully recover? I mean, I still have a little back pain and stuff, but Steven and I lifted today at Gold's, and I squatted 250 pounds.
Oh,
or whatever,
hey, you can
so-
talk to James about that too. He's also I like
You
to work out
lift,
too.
bro?
Every once in a while.
Yeah.
And I do go to Gold's actually too.
I have to work out like 6 times a week. I have to do it. I feel like I have to do it.
What happens if you don't?
I don't know because I haven't ever not know. It's been at least 2 years that I've consistently worked out at least 6 days a week. Sometimes if I'm on vacation and I can't do it, but I will.
Good for you.
I will make it happen. Like today, I
so
had
important,
a lack of
yeah.
time. I'm like, all right, I'm running, and I just
What
ran.
do you usually do?
I mix it up because I can't just do I can't be like, I'm just a Pilates. I can't. I have to do I'll do hardcore cardio some days. I like to lift weights. I used to sometimes CrossFit. I liked it. I liked that I felt like it was such a hard workout.
That's ridiculous.
But
I've never done it, but
I do like it, but I just it can't just do one thing.
You like variety.
I like to do I'll do a Pilates class one day, I'll run one day, I'll spin one day, I'll yoga one day, I'll whatever, but it has to be a hard workout. I cannot come out of a class and feel like it just fucking stretched for an hour.
So you like
I'm
variety and intensity.
yes, just like my men. Kidding.
kind of like being a doctor.
Kind of like being a doctor.
Variety and intensity.
Kind of like a lot of things.
Kind
Kinda
of
like a lot
like
of things.
life and drinks
That's
too.
true.
I
Yes,
like variety.
variety and
No, but I
intensity.
think that
Yeah.
that's it's balance. Whatever
Right.
in your life in general, in relationships, with work, with whatever, balance. When you're working out, I just want to do different things all the time.
Yeah, and I think that with especially the work that you do, and you and I do similar things, especially too when it comes to being the modern man, and variety and balance and things like that. I think that, and I'd like to get your thoughts on this, as we evolve or progress, which I guess depends on who you ask if we're evolving or devolving, but as we evolve, I think there's a lot more balance in what it means to be a man, right? Like it used to be this kind of beat your chest, Mad Men type era where everything was just had to be a certain way. But now I feel like people are opening up a little bit more. There's more communication between men and just more vulnerability, for lack of a better term, but not in the sense that it means a weakness, So I'm curious of how you feel things are evolving, what you think is changing.
Yeah, like your
how this
version of the
balance
modern
comes into
male.
place.
Like, what is that?
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest, it starts with your father,
Okay, explain that.
I think our image just from growing up of what it means to be a man is the one right in front of you.
Right. Yeah.
I love my dad. I think he did a great job. Well, I'm not a great job, but you know what I mean. His,
No,
Yeah,
of
he-
his
course.
parenting was excellent. I've made good and bad decisions, but
Yes.
Yeah, don't we all?
But I think his model was more of a John Wayne kind of you get the job done. You don't say much. You don't show a lot of emotion.
Right.
And I love him. I accept him for who he is. This time and day, talk about relationships, guys, we got to communicate.
And show emotion.
And that's such a process, right? You have to be able to feel and allow the emotion. You have to identify it, put a name on it, and then have the balls to say, hey, I feel hurt when you did this.
Right.
I don't know that generation of men had to do that.
No.
You know, so it's a challenge for us. It's not easy to be a guy, and I think that's part of what it means to be a modern man. Know your emotions, be able to communicate them to a partner. But then there's this other part of making it authentic.
Right.
So you don't have to be John Wayne. You can be whatever you want. You can be straight, gay. You can say, you know what, I really like pink, or I like blue, or whatever it is.
Right.
So the thing that I joke about a lot is I feel like there's still this imagery that's sold to men that being successful as a man is driving a Maserati, having a large-breasted, blonde-haired,
Right.
whatever girlfriend. You know, there's still like this thing.
Sure.
And there's a lot of bullshit wrapped up in that.
Of course.
You know, and you gotta like football, and you gotta whatever. And there's this thing. And if you don't like or want any of that, it's okay, right? It needs to be about what's really important to you. This is where it gets into mission, who you are, and what you're here to do. And I think when anyone, this applies to men or women, but when you find that kind of authentic, this is really what I'm about and what I want to do, it's like magic. And then you can just say, you know what? I don't need Bud Heavy. I like Bud Light, or whatever your preference is.
Well, do you
Totally.
feel that a lot of people are so caught up in achieving that image that they don't even ever get to the point where they uncover their own passions?
Well, I think one of the big, and I'm 38, and I've gone through this myself, but one of the big lies, illusions, you know, that personally I felt was, I'll be happy when.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things
Right.
for me, so I'll be happy when I'm a doctor. I'll be happy when I'm married. I'll be happy when I have that house or this car or whatever that thing is. That was true for me. Like, I thought that. And then I became a doctor, and it's great for so many reasons, but it didn't make me happy, I think, in the way that I expected it would.
Yeah.
So, you know, to kind of get back to this image of whatever, I'll be happy when I've got X, Y, and Z, that kind of a general society of this is what it means to be a man. I think that's an illusion. I don't think that's true. I think each person has to kind of look inside and have this inner spiritual path of what does make me happy, both kind of day to day. Like little things for me make such a difference. And this is not sexy, but sleep.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And oh, you like sleep?
Like,
Sleep and exercise is such a game changer
Hi.
for me.
Hello.
You know,
Yeah.
You don't have to be like doing this grandiose, amazing whatever, but actually I will feel better day to day doing those little things. That's
agree.
part of this happiness thing is part of the path, but then also the authentic kind of mission-centered value. I mean, I don't know what congratulations on your book, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate
did
it.
You guys
hear,
have a similar like theory and
Messaging,
voice,
yeah.
and yours is the your modern.
It was all about. Well, I started this whole like new chivalry movement type thing a few years ago. It's now translated into like new school romance. Been read over 50 million times online and stuff like that. So
wow.
it's grown. But I think
how can I find that?
Oh, it's everywhere. I'll give you the links and everything.
It's everywhere.
Well, sorry, that sounded too.
No, it is because it's you tapped into something like Dr. Larry here, where that is like very relatable and very real and very topical.
Well, that's exactly. I don't take credit for being some revolutionary like any new ideas. It's basically getting back to the idea of like humanity. Like you said, sleep and exercise, right? Like that's more essential to you as a human animal than a Ferrari is. Right, so it's like I think so many people are caught up in this image that we're forgetting what it means to actually be a human.
Yeah.
Like when you like, and as a doctor, you know far more about this than I do. But it's like what is necessary to be healthy, be happy, like live a fulfilling life, and all that stuff is a bonus. It's frosting on the cake. It's great, but if you have that without your health, right? What's the point?
How did you get excited about this?
I mean, my whole thing was based around relationships because I saw my parents. You're talking about, your dad's a role model. My parents they're very romantic with each other. They've been married for decades, and I'd gone into dating when I was younger thinking that's the way relationships were. And it didn't work out that way. Right? Yeah. It's like the whole nice guy finished last thing slapped me in the face for years, and I was like, why am I not getting any dates? Why am I always going to dances alone?
Oh.
And it's fine. Thank you though. But I translated that into
Don't
like
be afraid to work that, by the way.
no, yeah, we've had that conversation before.
We have.
But it's I kind of step back from that and I'm going, why is this not working? And at the same time, people in society are not happy. Their relationships are not happy.
Yeah.
I'm going, there's a disconnect between the way things are and the way I felt things should be, for lack of a better term. So I started writing about it.
And New School Romance was born.
And people caught on to it, and I went from like 5,000 people reading my website per day to over 1.5 million per day.
Per day?
per day.
Oh, wow.
It was crazy, and it was
for
like,
you.
oh, thank you. But it was I wouldn't call it a fluke because I think it's a
wait a
missing
minute.
piece.
So you were like a nice guy, but you were not successful in relationships, and then
Correct. And then I went to the opposite end of the spectrum, and I was like,
you were successful but not nice.
right. Yeah, I was successful. It depends on what your definition of success was. I was
How
meeting
many,
a lot of women.
how many chicks you slept with is what we're saying.
That was pretty much what it got to.
I'm the one who always says the truth.
But that's not fulfilling either. After
No,
a
it's
while.
not, but that's
like it's fun. But you're like
After a while.
After a while. At first. But that's the whole, that's what you're talking about. That's what you're talking about. It's like that
You have to-
thing of being like, I'm here, but I want to be over there. I'm
Yeah.
here, but I want to be over. And
Right,
all of this
right,
is
right,
like
right.
a self-discovery thing.
Totally. Oh, yeah,
Taking the
absolutely
things
right.
that we've seen in the past and making them work in the modern day, whether it's a modern
Mm-hmm.
man, whether it's new school romance, and figuring out how in the moment to feel okay with where you're at, even though you have goals of where you want to go.
Yeah.
Part of it is discovering, and you're helping people do that, and you
Mm-hmm.
too, how to make that journey feel fulfilling, because you always want to go somewhere, but it's all part of the path that you're going on. And instead of always wanting to be somewhere else and not
Yeah.
where you're at, it's like as soon as you put it out there, it's there. If I want this or I want that, it's there. Just let it happen and go. Stop paddling backwards in your boat. You know what I mean? Like, just go.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
easy to say. Trust me, I fucking cannot live in the moment. It's like my hardest thing ever. I'm like always thinking about what happened and
Yeah,
like what's
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
happen,
No, I'm
and
the
that's why I
same.
have anxiety and blah blah blah. But it's easier for me to say. But I think that's what it's all about. It's trying to figure out how to make that happen.
Yeah, and I'm sure if I mean, it comes down to I think living in the moment, appreciating where you are, but also knowing where you want to be, right? But I mean, I don't know. I'm just. It's always interesting to have the conversation with somebody because we're all going to have those different paths and different
Yeah.
journeys, and you get the Maserati, you become the doctor, and it makes you more. It's a checkpoint that you hit, right? But it's like, but where does that real fulfillment come from?
Yeah.
I think, and that's going to be different probably for everybody, or sleep or exercise. Maybe that's it.
It's the journey, not
Yeah.
the destination.
Right.
For sure.
Although I have no desire to go back through the journey of medical school and residency. I like that destination a little better. But now that I'm here, it's like, okay, what's the next destination? And that's
Yeah.
So what is your next destination?
part of the journey.
Yeah.
Well, doing stuff like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying
Yeah.
to.
Take it to another level.
I mean, I let's say in a day in the ER, I help 25 or 30 people. That's great. I want to kind of expand that.
Right.
Like see if you can get a platform and help more.
And
just
you
with-
do that with your TV appearances. We've seen you on the Today Show and the Men Tell All panel. Ben Glebe was a guest on our show.
Oh,
once.
was he really?
Yeah, he's hysterical.
He's a buddy of mine.
You guys are great and give a lot of great information. And then your book, The Gentleman's Diet, obviously, that's, what are some
I'm
like,
gonna have to read that.
yeah, I know. What are some, first of all, can women read that and get some things from it or,
Yeah.
yeah? And
Yeah,
even
I
if it's
mean-
just to learn about a dude too.
No, most of it I think is gender irrelevant.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's basic. I mean, I got excited about it because the beginning of it is all about kind of motivation. Same stuff along mission and values. What do you want? Using imagery to translate that into actual goals. Oh, I want to look good in a bikini. Well, what does that mean? Give me a number of your weight or
I
your
like that.
waist.
Quantify it. Yeah.
Yeah, or your body fat percentage, whatever. Okay, now you've got a target.
Yeah.
Now you've got a specific goal.
Right.
Now, why is that important to you? I call it the big why. So kind of, there's a process in there that kind of shows you, oh shit, this is really important to me because I want to be able to play with my kids when I'm older, or because
Right.
I have a vision of going on hikes when I'm 80 with my partner, or whatever it is that's really important to you. Connect that to that goal, kind of supercharges. So the beginning is more about motivation because I did so many times I would see these folks in the ER and be like, okay, what's one thing about your health that you can work on? Everybody says lose 20 pounds. I'm like, so then I kind of walk through this process and they're like, okay, I want to get started. There's some laziness out there. There is real laziness.
There's
you
real
know?
laziness,
So
and
much.
that goes hand in hand with not being specific. It's like I read a book called E Squared, where it's like all about the scientific energy that like is real, proven. Physicists have proved that like you are made up of energy, and if you use it correctly, it will have actual effects. And it's saying like you don't call up Bloomingdale's and say like, I just want some pants. You're like, I
Exactly.
want these jeans in this size, in this wash, this price, send them to this address. Like, you're not going to get, unless you say, like, why do I want these things? What does this look like to get there? And then why am I doing what I'm doing? You're not going to get, it's like so
Exactly.
not specific enough.
Well, and I think it's all connected, right? Because it's like we're talking about the why, the big why,
Which
and
is
also
so,
and which most
Yeah.
people probably never actually define.
Yeah.
So they don't have that clear vision. So then they don't have the motivation. because they just think they're going to get to the next thing and it's going to make them happy or whatever. But like if you never know exactly why you're going for what you're going for, it's never going to drive you.
And I think part of it too is a lot of people have this stuff is subconscious, right? So people care about their family and their kids and they want to be there, but they don't. I use some of these processes to kind of bring this stuff to the surface and then point out, hey, maybe the way you're living and what you're eating and how you're not exercising, whatever, isn't consistent with what's really is important to you, not what I want. I don't want everybody to have abs or whatever, but I do want them to live the life that they really want, you know, and if that means I don't give a shit if I die when I'm 55, fine, you live that life. And you do your cocaine and your drugs.
I was just going to say, snort the coke off the hooker and die when you're 54.
Yeah.
You'll be smiling when you do it.
If that's what you really want, knock yourself out. I mean, I've had plenty of patients who just look at me and say, no, I'm happier when I smoke. And I'm like, okay, as long as you're making a conscious decision about it.
Right. If that's what makes it. But do you think it comes down to also like kind of a tacit complacency that this is just going to go on forever? It's
What do
like,
you mean? You
like
mean
the people don't realize their own mortality.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
your
there's
life. Yeah.
absolutely.
Right,
There's especially when you're young, there is denial about. So that's one of the easiest like low picking fruit. But when somebody comes in and they have chest pain or they're whatever, you know, I'll work them. You know, I'll stick it to them about, or they come in, they've been drinking too much, and I can see a little bit of liver damage, or you know, like try to kind of really stick it to them in those moments
To give them that more
when it's
time.
like, hey, yeah, like I know you think this isn't hurting you, but look, I've got this test that shows that, you know, wow, how much have you been drinking? God, it's affected several systems.
Right.
How do you feel about that? You know, most people just, I can drink and it's not a big deal. I'm drinking just like everybody else. And then, but these moments when you come to, we're all going to confront our own mortality, right? We're all going to die.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good thing, not Las Vegas good.
No, I know what you're saying,
But
though.
that life ends and we don't go on forever, right?
It's the
Like
same
that.
idea as your book. It's like you pinpoint a problem, what you want, how to fix it. You show how to quantify it. Like look at this test about your liver. Like, hello. And then the big why. Well, what, you know, so I think that's kind of like something you can practice anywhere in your life, specifically
Totally.
at your job, with your relationships.
Definitely in relationships, yeah.
But it's something to think about, like being specific about what you want and how to get there.
Yeah, there's two. One is being specific, like you're talking about, and another one is being clear on your criteria. So, and that works really well for relationship. You know, what is your order of priority? What are the most important either characteristics of a partner or characteristics of the kind of relationship that you want?
Right. Yeah.
So I did this process for me, and you know, I put the typical things on, like pretty face and good body and smart and whatever. But then, like, when I compared them next to each other and then put them in the hierarchy of what was most important, the things that were most important to me were somebody who is kind of a best friend, partner, equal, who we have mutual respect, admiration, and inspiration, and then we have fun. So nowhere on my top three were the
big-breasted
she's
blonde
got
chick.
a great butt, you know,
Yeah,
or any, like even physical attraction wasn't on there. It was kind of assumed, but get specific. And then the criteria one too, I think, can be really helpful in terms of visualization and just being clear on.
Yeah.
So where you're dating, you know, like, do you want a partner? Do you want to have fun? Do you want to get clear on your intention?
Right.
You know,
Right.
Then you can easily just kind of move through. Oh, this isn't that. I'm gonna
Right,
let that go.
right.
Oh, it's kind of tasty, but I'm gonna let that go.
I think intention is so important.
So
That's such a big word, because a lot of people are just kind of like, oh well, somebody so and so likes me or so and so is attracted to me. I'll date them for a while and see what happens. Like and then nobody's ever happy because there's no clear.
Well, you're like
intention or
sailing
purpose.
around the sailboat in a circle.
Yeah, pretty much. But
just
you
like-
don't even realize it.
You don't even
Then you're
realize
like,
it.
why am I not seeing any land here?
It's as soon as you make yourself a victim, I think, is when that's part of the problem too. Like, but it's L.A. It's the guys
Well,
here.
that's too. It's
Well, granted, that
hear
is
that
a
all the time.
thing, but it's also not the only thing. And I think if people follow these like basic steps and obviously other things that are, you know, more in detail, like you can become this modern man. You can practice like the idea of new school romance and like make it work for now. What would you give advice to women who want to date the modern man? Like, what would you say they need to be or do or?
What we just talked about. Get clear.
Same thing.
Get clear on your criteria and your intention. Do you want a boyfriend, a partner? Are you ready for something more serious or not? Do you just want to have fun? Okay, start with what you want. And I think most women actually would want like a boyfriend in a relationship or whatever. So if you're in that place, raise your standards.
That's exactly
Don't-
what I say. Exactly what I say.
Really?
Raise your
No
standard.
booty calls, no booty texting. Needs to call you. I would say really should call you, but that isn't going to happen. But, you know,
You guys are like,
don't, you know, because I know when I do this stuff.
So you know.
And I know, like women who are just this is not going to sound good.
No,
but
say it.
Higher quality women don't put up with any of it.
Yeah.
Not even close. They just.
yeah,
They
gotta
just-
go.
And that's
Flick.
happened to me plenty of times. And so I know when I see one that I'm like, oh, I'd like to raise the bar on my own behavior and action because I know she's not going
So
to accept
exactly.
it. What do? I call her. I plan a date in advance. I offer to pick her up. I wear a suit. You know, it's a more formal thing. There is no, hey, you want to come over and watch a movie on like the second date or what? Like, it's the gentleman chivalry stuff. And that's the kind of woman that ultimately, I think more modern men are willing to trade
the
a
modern
fun
woman.
single life. That's the modern, and women I think are closer to that than men are. But how do you get there? Like, you're okay as you are. Be with yourself. You don't need a guy, and you do not need the booty calling. Like, just
it.
raise your
Raise your
standard a little
standards.
bit. And if you just want to have fun, then have fun.
Then have
Fine.
fun. Just
But-
own it.
But yeah, but again, like we talk about intention. Like, what do you want? Okay, and do that. Be honest with yourself about what you want.
I love it. Okay, we are going to play a quick game. Steven, well, we just need you to scoot this way just a little bit. And you're good. Okay, before we let you go, I love that advice. Raise your fucking standards,
Can I
people.
just text you? The article that went really viral that I wrote was called 10 Ways to Know You're Dating a True Gentleman. And you basically just listed the entire
The wear a suit, give her a call, pick her up, all those things. Shit.
Exactly. It's like exact. So,
Guys, you
Trial
guys-
and error. I think we both probably learned it from experience.
Well, yeah, you're paying attention.
which makes it more valuable to have multiple experiences and multiple paths lead to the same conclusion. You know?
Oh my
So,
God, it makes so much sense. It sounds simple, and it's just, I think a lot of people need to hear that.
Totally agree.
Okay, so, we were talking about the modern man and how to have it all. And, we are going to play a quick little game, and we want you to identify what you think a modern man is. And we're going to make it relatable to the listeners. Like, there's the modern man, it might be like kind of like a leading man. Like all of the, we fall in love with the romantic comedies we watch. We fall in love with the leading man all the time. Why? Because they have it all, right? So
Right.
we're gonna list like a character and then the actor that played the character, and we would like you to tell us who you think is the more of the modern man, the character they played or the actual actor, based on what you kind of know about the actual actor.
Okay,
we're
I'll
gonna
do
see
my
if you can do
best.
it. If you can't, drink your drink. Okay, so
Does your mom get to play? Can I like throw a help?
I mean, we can all
lifeline?
chime in.
A
We
lifeline
can all
card?
chime in. Okay, so the first one: Jack Dawson, Titanic, or Leo DiCaprio. Who's the modern man?
Probably Leonardo.
Okay, all right.
The real guy, the real dude.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. Because he's successful in what he does. He looks good. But he's using his platform for a purpose. He's a big environmental guy.
Agree.
I really respect that. Jack Dawson was this fun, live in the moment, whatever. That's great. But he didn't have a lot more than that.
He didn't have a lot more
That
than
momentary thing is great, but
You're right.
I
And
don't
he
know.
also
I want to underachiever.
he also didn't fight for his life. She had a whole fucking door, and there was totally room for him on that door. And she was like, "I'll never let go," and then ripped his frozen hands off and let him go.
There
No
are-
modern man would have stood for that. He would have been like, "Scoot your ass over and let's paddle to the shore and get married."
I'd be like, just lay on top of me.
Jack, jeez Louise, really let me down. Okay, you want to throw one out there?
This is I'm gonna go with the second one because
Okay.
this is one of my favorite characters.
good one.
James Bond or Sean Connery.
That's a toughie.
I don't know. Connery's the real deal. That's tough.
You can go
I'm going to
with-
drink my drink on that.
Okay.
Bond, I
God.
think there should be a whole conversation around James Bond. By the way,
And
I
all
have
of
so
the
many
people. I
different
mean, there's
theories.
Daniel Craig. There's the other one,
But like
Pierce
as a
Brosnan.
character,
But as a character, I know.
Yeah.
I don't know Sean Connery well enough to, and I worry that the James Bond image is almost going a little bit too close to what I resist, which is fast cars, hot ladies, fearless
yeah.
guy killing. It's just a lot of. So I hesitate to be like,
Yeah.
he might be the modern man illusion that isn't really real.
Yeah, you're right. Like the too instant gratification, too much of that.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish I were James Bond too sometimes, but
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, how about Noah Jr. from The Notebook or Ryan Gosling?
Noah from The Notebook.
Tell me you know that movie.
The guy, he built the house and
The Ryan Gosling character, the one that,
and
yeah,
everything.
they kissed in the rain.
He is not a modern man. That guy is old school, which
Yeah.
isn't bad.
He totally was, you're right.
He was kind of a country, seemed simple, loved this one, spent all these years building this house for her and was completely devoted. I mean, there's kind of a chivalrous aspect to him that's romantic. Gosling is a stud. So
Yeah, so we're going to go with him.
Yeah, I'd go with that.
probably
I would have
think
gone
most
with that
people would
too.
agree.
Probably going to pick him.
All right,
think
let's
most
throw
people
one more out there.
Oh boy, let's see. Some of these are tough to.
I know, they are.
Well, maybe this one's too similar to James Bond, but should we go with Jason Bourne or?
Are you looking at Danny Ocean?
I'm actually curious because this is going to be an interesting answer. Jerry Maguire or Tom Cruise?
I am incredibly biased here. I love Tom Cruise.
Oh my
I
God.
deeply love Tom Cruise in
Like-
in a very admirationally heterosexual way. I'm
Okay.
not- but Jerry Maguire, that character, that's a good question.
Yeah, I mean,
I
he's-
like that he develops. I like that he's flawed, and so I like that we don't have to be perfect and that we're all human, and like some of us are like him. Actually, that's a good example because he is kind of the life in the fast lane.
Yeah,
with
he is.
the girl
The
and whatever,
agent and the, yeah.
kind of discovers a deeper part of himself, becomes a better person. So I like that maybe story. But that said, I'm an incredible Tom Cruise fan.
So you're
and
biased.
He just kills it. Who's a bigger movie
I
star
mean-
than Tom Cruise ever?
Yeah,
He is a big star. He's also...
He's nuts. He's insane. He's completely
he's also-
insane. And I still love him.
You know,
It doesn't
hey,
matter.
listen, it's fascinating.
As long as it's not hurting anybody.
Tom Cruise and Top Gun 2, I'm still available, by the way. if
Oh
you
my
happen to
God.
see this.
Goose, do
I
we
know.
need a goose?
Yeah, right.
Everyone, we
Goose
might.
Jr., I'm here.
Goose Jr.
Maverick
You could
Jr., I'm
totally
ready.
be- Yeah.
Yeah, I can picture that.
It's
yeah, I
their
can
sons,
picture
because
that.
wasn't Meg Ryan pregnant? No, maybe she wasn't, but we could pretend she
Oh,
was.
that's good.
See?
Good twist.
Then now you're to see how I did
Kelly
that.
McGillis comes back.
Oh my God, and she's a general now.
Surprise,
Yeah, she's hello.
So, yeah, show, knock on the doorstep. Be like, hey.
Oh my God, I love it so much. Okay. Thank you so much for coming in.
Great to be here.
We had the best time. I feel like there's a million other things to talk about, so we might
keep
have to
going
just
forever.
have a round
forever.
two eventually. And next time we will get Bud Light for you. I'm so sorry we made you drink all the calories. I drank almost this whole beer, and I don't even like beer. I did that for you.
It's,
Oh, yeah.
It's not bad. I've had worse.
I have had worse
yeah.
too. Okay, so remind everyone where they can find you and your books and
Yeah, I have
what's
a website,
next.
drlarry.com, DOCTOR, and then I have a little YouTube channel if you type in Larry Burchett. It has I'm a medical expert in San Francisco for Fox.
Oh,
and all
that's
the
right. Yes.
Today Show
I'm
stuff.
from San Francisco.
Oh, yeah, is that right? Like the city?
Yeah, well, West
Or-
Portal. Yeah. The West Portal area.
She looked at you, Mom. Was she lying?
I grew up right by the airport, and then also now she has a house.
Oh,
in
you're
the,
from Millbrae.
No, close though.
That's what I
My
thought.
high school was there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So
Right on.
you know your.
I'm actually flying to Berkeley right now. I have my daughter this weekend.
Okay.
I have a house in Berkeley. So.
Okay. Oh, fun.
Very
Yeah, it's
cool.
nice up there. It's a nice little change. So okay, so great. So on your website, all of the information about books,
Yeah, or like the
appearances.
social stuff, and I write little articles and things. So.
Okay, and your YouTube channel. I did. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Good. So now we
Larry
can see
Burchett.
you.
Oh, and
Good.
check out that book on Amazon.
Yes.
Yeah, Gentleman's Diet.
I love it.
I have to grab a copy.
All right, guys, and remind everyone where they can find you.
Everything is at James M. Sama. The book is now unlockinglovebook.com, so you can get the Unlocking Love 10 Keys book for that. But yeah, everything jamesmsama.com, at James M. Sama on the social media. Just find me and let's chat.
Yeah,
For sure.
follow, like,
Will do.
subscribe. And
good.
also you can find me at Lauren Leonelli on all of the things. And don't forget to tune in next week for our brand new day and time. We will be joined by guest host Christina Weber, and we have a guest from Defy Media. She's an internet personality, Jocelyn Davis. So make sure to tune in for that. Jen will be back soon. Don't fret, she is coming. And don't forget to follow us on all the socials at Complicated Show. Thank you everyone for being here. It was so much fun. I'm gonna drink my
Thank you,
Budweiser.
guys. Yeah, we're gonna check it out.
Love you long time.
Thanks, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.